You are listening to How to Get Over Your Ex, episode number 326, Binge Eating Because of My Breakup with Kirstin Sarfde. Welcome to How to Get Over Your Ex, a podcast on getting over your ex without it just taking time. I'm your host, breakup coach Dorothy. Let's turn your pain into power and your heartbreak into happy. Hello, hello. Oh my goodness.
Hello.
Bravehearts, you guys. I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so pumped. We have the best guest today, y'all. So, Coach Kerr and I, Kirstin Sarfde, we go
Hey,
back. We go back. I'm not kidding, you guys. I think I met you in what, 2018?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
So I met her 2 years after my rock bottom breakup, and I was diving into the coaching realm, life coach certification, and Coach Kerr, she was like, Boston ladies, we need to get together. And I'm like, yes. And I was eager beaver. I was eager beaver. And I was like, do you want to meet every week? And she's like, I was thinking more of like once a month situation.
I was like, this girl.
So good. Okay, so let's dive in. So Coach Kerr, she's amazing. She helps individuals with binge eating, but I'm not gonna, I want you to tell us all the things. Tell us where this started. Tell us what you do, how you do it. Um, Tell me everything.
Okay. So, hello, Brave Hearts. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Kirstin Sarfde. And as Dorothy said, I am a binge eating coach. And I do this work because I myself was binge eating for over a decade, probably about 12 or 13 years of my life. And it really started in college. So I didn't have like the best eating habits growing up. I was definitely an emotional eater. And once I got to college, my freshman year, by the end, I had gotten to my highest weight ever. And I saw a picture of myself and I was just appalled. I could not believe how I looked in this picture. And I was like, I am losing weight. And I had never done it before, didn't even know how to do it, but I'm like, I'm doing it. So I got the magazines because that's what we did at the time, because this was early, very, very early 2000s. So I'm reading all the fitness magazines and I'm going to the gym and I'm working out and I'm learning how to lose weight. And I lost 40 pounds and I was so proud of myself. And I was like, yes, I look amazing. This is going to be me forever. And then not long after I lost the weight, I started binge eating. And I think it was a combination of going on an overly restrictive diet to lose those 40 pounds, which at the time I didn't know that it was overly restrictive. I thought I was doing the right thing because this is what all the magazines said to do. I thought I
Mm.
was doing it exactly how you're supposed to do it. But looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would never do it that way. Again, I would never tell anybody to do it that way. And also, like I said, when I was growing up, I was definitely an emotional eater. And it was just the combination of those two, the emotional eating and the reaction to being so restrictive for so long, that brought on the binge eating. And it started off just here and there, but over time, especially after I moved away from home, the binge eating just really blew up and I put on a bunch of weight and I was just so unhappy and so miserable. And I was trying for years and years to stop doing this. I just kept finding myself feeling this urge to go to the store and buy all the food and eat it all. Or I would go to a drive through and get some food and then be like, okay, I want more. And then go to another drive through and get more food. And then maybe even go to a third drive through and get even more food. I would go to convenience stores and just buy all this food. And I remember going to the same one 2 days in a row and getting snacks 2 days in a row or like 3 days in a row and just praying that the same cashier wasn't working and they wouldn't recognize me because I was just so embarrassed because I knew what I was doing was not right, but I couldn't not do it. I felt like I had to do it. I felt these really strong urges to eat all of this food. And every time I did it, I would go into it thinking, This would feel really good. This would taste really good. I would really enjoy this. This would be fun, even. And by the end, I felt like absolute crap. I would just be laying there on my couch or wherever, but usually my couch, not wanting to move, not wanting to do anything, not even wanting to watch TV because I had just no juice left in my brain to even comprehend anything. I wanted to just completely shut off. But then at the same time, I probably couldn't fall asleep because I was so full. And if I did fall asleep, there were times I would wake up with middle of the night sweats, just like dripping sweat as my body was trying to process all of these foods. I would have food hangovers in the morning where I just felt like just crap in the morning, just like no energy, just brain fog. And then I would very likely go to the gym to try to work it off. It was my form of compensation. I wasn't super crazy about it. Like I wasn't going for like hours and hours, but I would definitely make sure that I went to the gym for at least an hour, do a ton of cardio. I probably had an amount of calories that I wanted to burn on the machine. And it was all just so miserable. And I felt like such a failure. And it was a secret that I had from everybody. Nobody knew about this. People would see me eating really healthy and probably think, "Oh, Kirstin's such a healthy person. She eats so healthy and she works out and all these things," but they had no idea what I was doing in secret. And I did tell a few friends, but I never thought that they really understood. So this was something that I was dealing with on my own for a very long time. And I tried all the things that I read about online, and none of them worked. I went to a therapist for a very short time and didn't really feel like that was the direction that I wanted to go in to help me. And one of the things that I kept doing was just making lists of foods that I would not allow myself to buy. But spoiler alert, I would buy them and binge on them, or I would just go and binge on something else. The list really did not matter. I made calorie goals and I would go over the calorie goal, or just it didn't even matter at some point. Like we think setting that limit will stop us, but at some point I'm just like, screw the list. I mean, screw the goal. I don't even care. I'm just going to keep eating. So, cut to me getting my life coach training. I go to this training to become a life coach because I really wanted to help people. And I thought that I had something in me that would be that would make me a really good coach. So I go to this training. And while I'm there, I confessed to one of the coaches that I binge eat. And I was very scared. I was afraid she was going to judge me. And come to find out, she actually had experience with binge eating, and I had no idea. And she started talking to me about why I binge and why I need to treat it differently than the things you might do for weight loss, which I didn't know that. And we were talking about the urges and all of the things. And so much just clicked in my head where I finally had this understanding of what I had been going through, why I hadn't been able to stop. And I took that, combined it with all that I had just learned in my life coach training, and I was feeling so ready to just never binge again. I'm like, I figured this out. I got this. And then that night, I binged. And the next morning, I binged. And a few
This
days
is so
later,
great.
I binged.
I didn't realize that you went to life coach training before you had resolved the binge eating. This is like
Hmm.
news to me. This is so cool. Okay.
And I was so scared, but there was another woman there that had similar issues, and so her talking about it so openly actually helped me to feel more comfortable talking about
Of
it
course.
openly. And I think she may have been the first person that I ever talked to about it. And then I ended up talking about it in like a group of other coach trainees, and this other person was like, "Oh yeah, I binge too," and I was just like, this is so comforting to finally talk to people that get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. I feel like that the community component is so huge. I love that.
Oh, yeah, it's
So
so
then
huge.
what happened? So you binged that night and then you binged in the morning again. What
Yeah,
happened
because
after
people
that?
people think once you understand something and once you get it,
Mhm.
then you should just be done with it.
I think my people really feel that.
right? It's like, I understand how to get over my ex. Why am I not over my ex?
Yeah.
Right? I understand why I binge. I understand how to stop. Why am I not doing it? Well, after that, then I had to actually apply what I had learned and
Yep.
put in the work and binge and learn from it and binge and learn from it. And
Hmm.
it was a process and it took time. But I can now say that I have not binged in I don't even know how long at this point. I have no
Yeah.
desire to binge. It's not even a thought in my mind. Now, do I overeat? Yes, I overeat because I am a human and humans overeat. I don't know anybody that doesn't overeat except maybe one person. She might not overeat. But other than that, the rest of the population, the 99%, like like I bet you overeat sometimes, Dorothy.
Oh yeah.
Heck yeah, right?
Absolutely.
It's normal. So I'm not going to claim that I am a perfect eater now,
Yeah.
but I do not binge like I used to and eat excessive amounts of food and feel extremely sick after eating like I used to at all.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And then just like you, after I went through that experience, I was like, okay, like I want to pay this forward. I want to be the person that I wish I had through that
Hmm.
time. And that's
And
why I decided to create my coaching business around binge eating.
yeah, so good. And you're so good at what you do. You're so good at what you do. The
Thank
analogies
you.
that she uses, everyone, I'm so excited to have you here and talk about them all.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to start kind of from the basics because I don't think I've ever binged. Now that you're saying these things, I'm like, maybe I have and I just don't even know it. But I'm like, what is the difference between binge eating and overeating?
So I would say if you binged, you would probably know it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So binge eating and overeating are, they have a lot of similarities where you are eating more food than your body would like for you to. You're eating more food than your body requires for fuel. But binging is more of the extreme version of that, where when you're binge eating, and this can be a little bit different for everybody, but when you're binge eating, a lot of the times you might feel like you are out of control,
Mm,
like there is this real loss of power when you are eating the food. You might be eating really fast. And one of the biggest markers for it is the amount that you're eating. So it's an excessive amount. And even when people try to define it, it's like more food than, a normal person would eat or whatever word they use.
mhm.
It's really hard to define it by the amount, but it is just like an excessive amount, like an embarrassingly large amount of food, and then feeling a lot of guilt and shame, like extreme emotions afterward.
Yeah,
Whereas with the
okay.
overeating, it's usually less intense where you're not necessarily feeling out of control. There might be a part of you that's just kind of like, oh man, I can't stop. But it's not like I am so out of control. It's just I just can't stop, which spoiler alert, you can stop. You don't want to stop. It also might be more mindless when you're overeating, where you're just kind of like watching the TV and just eating food. And again, that can be similar with the binge eating. It's just the emotions that you feel while you're eating are much less intense. It's usually less food than when you're binging, and you may still feel some guilt, but it's just way less guilt than you might
Yeah.
feel when you're binge eating.
It sounds so parallel to like not being over your ex and like when you have those like strong urges. Like I feel like I work with so many women who are like these badass women who are just successful in so many other areas of life, but then they feel completely out of control when it comes to this one thing, right? And they feel like some other programmer takes over their brain and they've just got no control over this situation of like reaching out to the ex or circling by or just being so reactive to an experience. So that
Mhm.
it sounds similar to that.
Yeah, and people describe it in such a similar way, like something takes over them. I used to say it felt like I was possessed,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? Like there was just something inside of me that I could not control that was making me do it. So, yeah, people use very similar ways of describing it.
Yeah. So can you help me understand why people start binge eating?
Yes. So, there's two main causes of binge eating. And the most common cause is being overly restrictive with food. And This can show up as either under eating, where you're restricting fuel from your body. So your body isn't getting the fuel that it needs to function or that it wants. And then there's the other side of restriction, which is just you not allowing yourself to eat the foods that you want to eat. So if you are under eating, your brain is going to start nudging you to eat more food. Then it's going to start like pushing you to eat more food. It's going to start urging you to eat more food. You're going to think about food a lot. You're going to feel more hunger. So I call these biological urges where your poor brain and body are just like, fuel me, please. Like,
Mm.
help me stay alive, nourish me.
Mm-hmm.
What I see more common is the other side where people just aren't allowing themselves to eat the foods that they want to eat because they think that those foods are bad and they shouldn't eat them. And this is all wrapped up in diet culture. It's what we are taught to think with all the diets that have been exposed to us over the last however many decades. It's just we're constantly getting lists of do not eat these foods. These foods are bad. And even just in the health world, it's like these foods are unhealthy. You shouldn't eat them. They're toxic. They're whatever. So then people just villainize these foods and do not allow themselves to eat them until, of course, they start feeling so restricted by this rule they're putting on themselves and they feel so deprived and they get so tired of it that eventually they just eat them. And because they've been held back for so long and haven't been allowed to do this thing for so long, their reaction is the complete opposite. They go from forcing themselves to never eat these foods to just completely letting go and eating all of the foods. And this is just a normal reaction to deprivation. The example I give is what if you weren't able to see your favorite person in the entire world for 10 years?
Mm.
And then all of a sudden you get to see them. What would that be like for you? You would be like, give me all of your time. I need to spend as much time with you as possible. Do not leave my side. I am not
Yeah.
going to go to sleep tonight. Like it's this overreaction.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main reasons. And also, I do want to dig into that one a little bit more too for why people do that, why people are overly restrictive. And most of the time, it comes back to trying to control their weight. So they're trying to lose weight and think that if they want to lose weight, they can't eat this food, this food, this food. Because again, we are taught to believe that if you eat certain foods, you can't lose weight, you'll gain weight, whatever it is that we have this story about these foods. So we don't allow ourselves to eat these foods, try to control our weight, to lose weight, and also this fear of gaining weight. Again, there are the foods. If you eat these foods, you'll get fat. That's what people
Yeah.
think. That's what we're taught. So people try to avoid these foods at all cost in order to try to control their weight. And that leads them into being overly restrictive. So, being overly restrictive, that is the main cause of it. And then for some people, there's also the emotional component of this as well, where they don't know how to handle their emotions. They don't know what to do with their emotions. They want to escape their emotions. They want to feel better. And eating is a way to do that. It
Yeah.
does help. You do feel better when you eat. So people do that. And then it becomes the go to way of handling any kind of uncomfortable emotion. And so, whenever they're feeling any kind of discomfort, they go and eat food. And the more intense the discomfort or the longer they're feeling the discomfort, the more in quantity they're likely going to want to eat. So, it becomes a way to control emotions as well. So, those are the two main things being overly restrictive and trying to control emotions with food.
That makes total sense. I would say I interact with the latter more often, right? Where it's like, um, we work on biology baseline. So I talk about calming your nervous system. We can't do any thought work. We can't do any of like the real work until we've calmed our nervous system and gotten our body back to what we call baseline. So a lot of times when we're diving into that, individuals will come to me when we're talking about the nourishing portion and they're struggling with food. Either they're not eating at all because they feel like completely sick and just like closed down around that, or they're overeating, and then rarely they'll, sometimes people will come forward to me saying that they are also struggling with binge eating because of the emotional component of that.
Hmm.
So, how do you help people with binge eating? Like, what is your solution? What's the solution to this? If someone's struggling with binge eating, because they're, again, the big life events, going through a breakup or a divorce, what would you say to them? Or like, how do you solve that? And I'm sure it's very complex or
Yeah.
multi-steps, but give us the first step, or where can they start?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wish I could just give you a very quick answer right now, but this is why I have my own entire library of podcast episodes and, a whole program and everything. But the place to get started, I would say, is to first identify which of those two things I just talked about it is. We don't want to just try to jump into solutions without understanding what the problem is first. Is the problem that I am being overly restrictive with my food? Is the problem that I am trying to control my emotions with food? Is it both? For a lot of people, it's both. So I say with the people that recognize that it is a restriction thing because they are likely trying to control their body. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of your listeners experience that after a breakup where we're trying to get that revenge body. We're trying to show them what they're missing, whatever it is. So then we start to get too restrictive with our food. It is so important that when you are trying to overcome this restriction mindset that you have, that you are first what I like to do is acknowledge all of the rules that you are coming up with for yourself. Like, what are all the food rules that you have? What are you telling yourself that you can't eat? What are you telling yourself that you shouldn't eat, that you're not allowed to eat? What are you telling yourself is bad? And a lot of the times people use unhealthy as a cover up for the word bad instead of just being like, it's not a nutritious food. They're like, no, it's unhealthy, but really they're saying it's bad. I shouldn't eat it. So first, it's acknowledging all of the ways that you are restricting yourself mentally, the things that you are telling yourself that's creating this feeling of being restricted, this feeling of deprivation, maybe even feeling of resentment, like you have to do this. And then it's giving yourself permission to eat all of the foods and giving yourself permission to eat when you are hungry. That is so important. And whenever I say that to people, sometimes they get scared because they think that giving themselves permission to eat it means they will eat it. And that's not what it means. Giving yourself permission just means that you are allowed, that you can. It's like you're invited to the party. Just because you're invited to the party does not mean you're going to go. But isn't it so nice to know that you're invited and you then get to make the decision about whether or not you're going to go?
This is so good. This is brilliant. It's blowing my mind. I love it. Like giving yourself permission. I have permission. I'm allowed to eat anything. I'm allowed to eat
Yes.
any of the things. Does it mean that I
Yes.
do? And I love the party example because I am definitely someone who's like, I want the invitation. I probably won't go, but I definitely would love to get the invite. Yeah.
Yeah. And tell me, Dorothy, what would happen if you knew there was a party going on and you didn't get invited?
Oh, I get butt hurt. I'm so upset about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
then
you
I'm like, and
probably,
I feel like I can't, I want to go. Like I like, yeah.
right.
Do I
Right. And
show
you
up
might
not
be,
invited?
right. And you, I mean, maybe, right? So it's like, you want to go to this party just because you weren't invited.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And you might be thinking a lot about this party that you weren't
Yeah.
invited to, that you can't go to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So people think, well, if I give myself permission, then I'm just going to go eat all the food. No. When you give yourself permission, you get yourself out of that, well, I want to go just because I can't. And you get yourself out of that constant thinking about it. When
So
things are
good.
available to us all the time, we don't really think about them very much.
So good. Ooh, I love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And an example I give for this too is you're allowed, for the most part, to leave your home whenever you want to. Do you leave your home all of the time? Are you constantly outside of your home? No, because you're allowed to. You leave when you feel like it and you stay when you feel like it. And because you're allowed to, it opens you up to actually accessing what you want and don't want. But
Mm.
think about COVID times. Everybody wanted to get out of their house,
And everyone was thinking about it, right?
right?
Hmm.
They felt so restricted.
Yeah.
So, this is why it is so important to give yourself the permission because it relaxes you. It takes away the deprivation, the resentment, the feeling of being restricted, and you are going to act so differently from this place. How you've seen yourself react before when you gave yourself permission to eat, it was likely after a period of not having permission, or
Yeah.
you weren't really giving yourself permission. People think that just eating the food means I'm giving myself permission. But if you're eating that food and thinking, well, I shouldn't be eating this, oh, this is wrong, this is bad, that's not real permission.
Mm-mm.
So you're going to behave very differently if you're thinking that way while eating the food.
Brilliant. I love that. So good.
Okay. So that's one side of it. And then there's of course the emotional side. Like I said, you have to figure out, is this a restriction problem? Is this an emotional
Yeah.
problem? And if it's an emotional problem, the first thing, kind of like I talked about with the restriction, is acknowledging like what emotions are you eating in response to the most? Like, what are the most common emotions that you are trying to escape? And then just exploring why. Like, what is so bad about this emotion? What is it about this emotion that you are just not willing to be in? And see what comes up. See what story you're telling about this emotion. Because a lot of the time, it is a story that makes you feel scared of the emotion. Something that comes up for a lot of people is that they think that if they feel the emotion, it's just going to get worse. If I feel
Right.
this emotion, it's never going to end. I can't handle feeling this. It's too intense. It's too painful, like whatever it is. And then we need to start changing the story about these emotions, change how we're talking about these emotions. And like a practical, like, action that I suggest that people take too is to just practice feeling the smaller, easier to deal with emotions. So it's just practice feeling through discomfort in little bits and pieces. And the more comfortable you get with this little bit of discomfort, then you'll get more comfortable with a little bit more discomfort and a little bit more discomfort. And it's just growing your ability and your willingness actually to feel the emotions, because you're always able to do it, but it actually is just like the willingness to feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. What are the most common emotions for you? Like when you're working with your people, what do you feel like are the most common emotions that like they're avoiding feeling?
Hmm. Yeah. Boredom is a big one. That
Oh,
was,
snap. I never
yep,
even
that was a big one for me.
I don't even think about boredom. I have no idea. I don't feel like I have enough space in my life for boredom. I don't understand that, but I understand that other people experience that. Hmm.
Yes. Yeah. No, boredom is a big one. So then people are going to the food for entertainment, for joy, for
Ah,
pleasure, to
yeah.
feel good,
Hmm.
right? As something to do. So,
Crazy.
yeah, that's a big one. And then, of course, stress, overwhelm, anxiety, all of those kinds of emotions that really get your nervous system ramped up and heightened. So they're eating the food to calm themselves down and to try and regulate their nervous system, or just simply they want to just escape, just get out of it. And I would say that another common one, and I definitely experience this one too, is loneliness. You just feel this
Mm,
kind
yep.
of like emptiness, this downness, and it's eating to fill up the emptiness, eating again just to feel better.
Yeah.
So I would say that those are probably the ones I see come up most often, but honestly, it could be any kind of negative, uncomfortable emotion.
Right, 100%. And I really like the loneliness one. I feel like I can resonate with that one a lot.
Hmm.
Okay. So I want to talk about something because you and I have been friends for so long and colleagues, I guess we could say we're friends and colleagues.
Yeah.
Um, We, so for listeners listening in, I love Coach Kerr because it's so crazy. In our conversations over the years, meeting monthly, we talk about work a lot. We talk about our people a lot. We talk about serving all of you very frequently. And like, I'll be like, I was thinking about this with my client, or I was thinking about that with my client. And how could I do this better? How could I be better here? And you've been like an integral part of me becoming an even better coach. And I appreciate you for that. She's brilliant, right? And I feel like one of the things or the parallels that I see in our world is reducing desire and attachment. And so use your example a lot when it comes to saying, we can reduce the desire and attachment that we have for our exes. And that's like the primary solution. And my understanding is that you also help people reduce desire and attachment for binge eating or certain foods, kind of in the same way that I teach that for exes. But I was wondering, like, could you expand or tell us a little bit about your experience of helping individuals reduce desire and attachment? I mean, is it you're desiring and like you're reducing desire and attachment for a specific food or for binge eating in general?
So it can be for both. When it comes to the food, what I don't want to do is try to get people to completely like discuss a food that they don't like, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not what
Mhm.
I'm trying to do here. Like people have said, I wish I just didn't like this food. And it's like, well, you do. And we can just acknowledge that you do like this food. That is okay.
Yeah.
But we don't need to have it up on this pedestal. So that's what we need to try to do is to take it down from being something that is so important to something that is just a food. So we
Okay.
have to
I need to
explore. Oh,
I
go
want to
ahead.
pause you for just a second. Bravehearts, notice the parallel here, right? You put your ex on a pedestal. Her people put this food on a pedestal. Okay, so how do we take them off of the pedestal? Tell us.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, we first have to explore why they are on this pedestal. Why are you creating such importance for this food? And it could be because that is their way to feel better. It could be that is their favorite source of entertainment. It could be their only source of entertainment. One of the things I do talk about some of the time is more variety in ways to find joy and fulfillment and pleasure, all of those things. And so it's just changing how we're talking about these foods and whatever it is that we think we are getting from these foods, finding them in other ways. If this food is the way to feel calm, if this food is the way to feel great, what else is there? One of the things that I talk about with my clients is that I'm never trying to take away anything from them that's important to them, like joy and pleasure and good feelings and any of that stuff. But we just need to find it in better ways that aren't going to leave us feeling like crap afterward and that aren't going to take over our brains in a way that we don't want them to. So, first is exploring like why is that food so important and then bringing it down by changing the story that we're telling about it. Yeah.
Chills. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
So good.
Yeah. And then there's also the desire for binge eating. So, one of the very simple tools that I talk about with people is just acknowledging, just like you may be doing with an ex, acknowledging the things you don't like about binge
Yeah.
eating. Because for me, this idea of going to the store and buying all of this food and eating it was so fun.
Mm,
So
yeah.
as long as I kept thinking about how fun it would be and how good it would feel and all of the good things about it, which were actually only part of the story, then I would want to be doing it. It was something that I desired. And there are people that, for example, will have their partner gone for the weekend and they're like, oh, okay, well, now I can just stay home and eat whatever I want. Like in their mind, this is something they're looking forward to because, again, they're thinking about how great it is. So we
Mm.
need to tell ourselves the truth about binge eating instead of just saying, like, this is going to be so great for whatever reason, but talking about how it's going to affect you mentally in the end and how it's going to affect you physically. Like I talked about before when I was telling my story about how awful I would feel physically and how it would just ruin the rest of my day. And maybe even into the following morning, it would ruin my sleep. Just, it would make me not want to talk to anybody. It was just all these negative effects. So we have to be honest with ourselves about why it's a problem and why this is not something that we want to be doing.
Yes,
Oh,
zooming out.
yeah. So that's like the simple desire decreasing tool, but it's not always that simple when it comes to this. It's not just, oh, okay, well, if I think about all the negative stuff, then I just won't do it. We have to also take a look at those two reasons I was talking about before because we have this desire for binging because it's our chance to have freedom. It's our chance to eat whatever we want, as much as we want, because in our regular day to day life, we're not allowing that. So we get this really strong desire to just break free and let go because we feel so forced and held back so much of the time. So if you don't want to have such a strong desire for freedom with food, you have to give yourself freedom with food all of the time.
So good. Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah. And same thing with the emotions where we're looking at binging like this is my way to do whatever with emotions, calm down, have fun, feel pleasure, feel joy, whatever it is, and making sure that we are getting those in other ways in our lives. And also, like, this is my way to escape, this is my way to numb. And then really taking an honest look at why we have such a strong desire to escape and numb
Yeah.
and working on our willingness to just be in the emotions and work through our emotions by working on our thoughts and actually resolving the emotions instead of just looking for this quick and easy way out. Because if you are willing to and actually do feel through your emotions, and this is your new go to for handling your emotions, then the desire for binging on all that food isn't going to be as strong. You have a better way of handling
Yeah.
this.
So good. I love that so much. There's so much goodness there and so many parallels, my friends, to the breakup place,
Yes.
right? Where I'm
Yep.
just like, I can see so much of that translating to exes.
Hmm.
Um, can you share with us a little bit about like what do your people think they need to resolve their binge eating versus what you find actually works? Which I know you've
Hmm.
talked a lot about like what works and how they can take their first steps, but
Yep.
what is it that they're thinking that they need versus what they
Yeah.
actually need?
Yeah. So the main go to for people is controlling their food, it's going on a diet.
That's like the opposite of what you're saying works, right?
Right. It actually perpetuates.
They're like,
Yes.
no.
Yeah. Because we see the food as the problem,
Mhm.
right? Like for me, my two go tos were make a list of all the foods that I wouldn't allow myself to buy because I figured if I didn't have those foods around, I wouldn't binge,
Right.
right? The foods are the problem.
No contact. Just don't like avoid all the triggers and just no
E-
contact and that will solve the problem. But
Exactly.
here you are,
Right.
no
But then
contact, and
you,
you still have the desire for him.
exactly. So then at some point, you're just like, screw it. I'm contacting him.
Yes. So then I'm gonna send an email. I'm gonna text him. Maybe
Yep.
I'll
I'm going
call
to
him
slide
at
into
work.
those
Yeah.
DMs, something, right? Or they're just somewhere unexpectedly. And you're
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, what do I do about this? Right?
Yes.
Because you can't avoid, they're here.
Hmm. Yep.
And the same thing happens with the food. It's like all of a sudden it's there. Someone brought it to your home, you're at a
It's at the
party,
party. Hmm.
right? Exactly. Or you like drive by a billboard,
Yeah.
right? That makes you think about it. You're
Yep.
at a store and you forgot to avoid the aisle, or you just for some reason you're like, well, I'm just going to go take a look.
I'm just gonna casually scroll onto his Instagram.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Right now, if people want to do this at first and they want to just have no contact with the food and just not buy it, not bring it, if that's what they feel comfortable with in the beginning, I fully support that. I think that is okay, but at some point we have to address the real issue here. Like we can't just avoid forever. I mean, maybe you can, but that can also really hold you back from a lot of things. And it can also create some uncomfortable emotions. And again, like, what do you do when you don't have control over what food is available to you? So,
I always think
if
about like how much life are you missing out on living when you're manipulating your life around these triggers?
right.
And same
Oh,
thing with your people. Like, I just think there's so much life that they're missing out on because maybe they're like, I can't go to the party because I'm too worried that there's going to be the cake there and then I'm going to binge on the cake.
absolutely. I'm so afraid about what food is going to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm just not going to go. Just like
Hmm.
I'm afraid that my ex is going to be there. I'm just not going to go. And now you miss out.
Yeah.
And like,
Hmm.
what if he didn't even show up?
Yeah. Hmm.
Right? What if the food wasn't even there?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, and how often are we going to decline invitations and say no to things because we're afraid of the food? It's just that's I mean, I'm assuming for most people that's not the way that we want to be living.
Yep.
So we have to actually address the real issue here. So that was my one of my go-tos, just like make a list of all the foods that I'm not allowed to eat. And let me tell you, I kept adding to that list. And I would eat foods that, or I would binge on foods that weren't on that list.
Yeah.
So that was not the solution. And then calorie goals, which I mentioned at the top of this as well, where I would set a calorie goal and be like, okay, I just need to stay within the calorie goal.
Mm.
And there were times when I would just feel that urge to eat a lot of food. And I was like, what calorie goal? Who cares? I don't even care about that anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Or there's the all or nothing thinking where I went over the calorie goal for whatever reason. Maybe I was, extra hungry that day, or I ate an extra snack for fun that day, or I ate foods that were high calorie that day, whatever it is. And then it's like, oh, well, I already went over. So might as well keep going. That shows
So
up for
frustrating.
so many people.
Yeah. Hmm.
So many people. It's like, well, I already messed up. Might as well keep going. I ruined the
Oh,
day.
and that happens with the exes. I see it all the time where they're like, well, I sent the message. I might as well just send 10 of them. I called,
Yes.
I feel like I get my brave hearts when they're like, well, I called him 23 times, so I figured it was time to sign up for your program. So we
Absolutely.
get it. Us brave
Yeah.
hearts, we get that. We
Hmm.
understand that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like creating more restriction, which is just going to perpetuate the binge eating, avoidance, which isn't actually addressing the problem, and then just focusing on the actions, like making a new eating plan, a new calorie goal, a new points goal, like whatever it is.
The
But as,
lists. We have so many
yeah.
lists too. We're like, here are all the reasons we shouldn't be in this relationship. Here are all the things that I make me worthy.
Uh
We've got
huh.
lots of lists too. Hmm.
Yes. 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 So we need to address the actual problems here, which, as I've been talking about, is the excessive restriction and the emotions. Because if you don't address those, your calorie goal is not going to matter.
Hmm.
We can't just focus on the actions, as you know, as I hope your listeners know by now, that we can't just focus on the actions. We have to focus on our thoughts, our beliefs, the stories we're telling, our perspectives, all of that stuff.
So good. Coach Kurt, this was like so helpful, even for me. I'm like, yes, I'm having some like very big mind moments with you today. How can people actually, before we tell people how they can find you, is there anything else that you wanted to share that I feel like maybe that I didn't cover?
Yes, there is one more thing that I want to
Tell
share
us.
that
I want to
I
hear.
Yeah, so I touched on it a little bit earlier, and it's about your body.
Yeah.
Because so much of this, but so much of the restriction part of this comes back to body image, trying to control our bodies. And the main reason why we want to control our bodies and make it smaller or not gain weight is to feel good about it. is to not hate our bodies anymore. So we want to try and lose weight so that we can feel better. And we don't want to gain weight because we don't want to feel worse. So we tie our weight to our feelings and our thoughts. If I change my body, if I lose weight, this is what I will think and feel. If I gain weight, this is what I will think and feel. And we need to work on, at minimum, being more neutral about our bodies, no matter what size they are. So if you're in a place right now where you are hating your body and you are so desperate to lose weight, it's that hating of your body that is making you feel desperate to lose weight, which is driving you to be overly restrictive with your food and then binging and then overly restricting and binging and going back and forth in this cycle. But if you are more neutral about your body right now, then you wouldn't have such a strong desire to change your weight quickly and do it in a way that is eventually going to likely backfire and lead into binging. So, one of the things that I work on with my people is creating that body neutrality, that body acceptance. And it's as simple as changing our thoughts from my body is gross, my body is disgusting, my body is fat, it's ugly, it's unattractive, all of these really negative words to just more neutral words because we don't have to use those words. We don't have to be so mean and harsh when we talk about our bodies, but just being more neutral. And it could be as simple as I have a human body or my body is okay or just something that isn't so negative when we
Mm.
think about our bodies. And when it comes to gaining weight, we have such negative thoughts about ourselves. If we gain weight, if I gain weight, it means I'm out of control. It means I'm lazy. It means I'm disgusting. If I gain weight, my body's going to be gross. Again, we're using all of these really negative ways of describing our bodies. And we do not have to talk about ourselves this way, talk about our bodies this way, and use these words. There are countless words we can use and countless ways we can describe our bodies, and we don't have to do that. And one of the, again, simple ways that I like to talk about weight gain is that you don't have to make it mean something so personal and negative about yourself if you gain weight. You just ate more food than your body required for fuel. And that's it.
Data, data versus drama, right?
Exactly. Like there's
Yeah.
so much drama. And I get it. Society has fed us all of these beliefs about bigger bodied people and gaining weight. And, we see it with celebrities all the time where they stopped doing their ridiculous workouts and diets that they had for that one role where they were super buff or like super thin. And now they look like a regular person or like a slightly overweight person. They're like, oh my God, what happened to them? And blah, blah, blah. And they say all this stuff about them. And it's like, what if they just weren't being so rigid with themselves anymore? What if they're actually just enjoying food more? What if it's just not important to them, like whatever it is, but that's all the stuff that we get fed in diet culture is that you are a failure if you gain weight and you are also a failure if you don't lose weight. And we just really need to start talking about our own bodies in such a different way so that we can calm down, allow ourselves to eat all of the foods, and then make eating decisions that align with both what we want as far as different foods and what our bodies want with certain foods for nutrition and fuel and all of that stuff. So that was just the one thing that I wanted to talk about really quickly is just acknowledging how negative and mean and harsh you may be with the words that you're using to describe your body or what you make it mean if you gain weight. And we can just start taking little steps to talk about that differently and just try to be more neutral. I'm not saying you should be body positive and love your body. We just don't have to be so mean when we're talking about our bodies, which can help us to feel better now.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you brought that up. And I'm also just so glad with the timing that we're going to end on that note. So important. And I love that you're like, we can be neutral about it. We don't have to go all the way to like the other end of that spectrum. We can just be calm and neutral about it. And
Hmm.
I think that can be so profound. So thank you.
Yes. Yes, yes. And for your people, you are worthy and lovable and amazing no matter what your body size. So it is likely that your person didn't break up with you because of your body,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yep.
I do know that has happened to people. There's a woman I follow on Instagram who that kind of is what happened to her. But
Mhm.
listen, we just need to add that to one more reason why they are not the person for you.
Yep.
Okay.
100%. Yep.
That can help us decrease our desire for that person.
Hmm.
But for the most part, with most people, that is not the reason. So trying to force your body to get smaller isn't the solution.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
You're just as great and wonderful and lovable, whatever your body size is.
We love you, Bravehearts.
We
We love you.
do so
How can my
much.
Bravehearts find you? Where can they go to find you and hang out with you and learn all about everything that we talked about today?
So I also have a podcast. It's called the Stop Binge Eating Podcast with Kirstin Sarfde. And you can find that on all the main podcast listening apps, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of the things. There are tons of episodes on there. You can also find me on Instagram at Stop Binge Eating Coach. And you can also just go to my website at coachkir.com. It's COACHKIR.com. So I would go to the podcast first and foremost because that's going to be the most informative of all of them. And obviously, if you are listening to this, you listen to podcasts. So come on over and hang out on mine too. Listen to both
What a
of
great
us.
fit. And I'll link all of that, Bravehearts, to make it easy for you. So all of that will also be in the show notes for you to just click and go.
Awesome.
Thank you, Coach Kerr. I love you. Thank you so much for being here with us. I know the Bravehearts found this so helpful, and I'm just so grateful that you took the time to be here with us today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And there may actually be people listening that I have referred to you
So fun. They'll be
that
like, I
already know
know
me.
her.
Yeah. Because when people are having a hard time with breakups and divorces and whatever in my own program, I'm like, go listen to Dorothy, go listen to her podcast. You need to hear what she has to say. I will help you as best I can, but she's the expert, so go to her. So I'm just so excited to be doing this little crossover here.
Collab or
So
collab.
fun.
So
Yes, thank
good.
you.
Thank you. If you're loving the How to Get Over Your Ex podcast and you want to learn how to get over your ex in 3 months or less to build a life better than the one you thought you had with your ex, I would like to personally invite you to my next group course where we take everything you've learned here on the podcast and apply it to your life. Come check it out at www.lifecoachdorothy.com.